All right. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, Zeta Knights. This is Dallas JC here. I'm broadcasting live from the Omnichain HQ. And a lot of the community was asking for a real-time update call, and that's why we put together this session this morning. If you've been following our Twitter feed the past few months, or you're in Discord, then you know that we've been working really hard and making a lot of progress on the upcoming launch of ZetaChain this year. And so the goal in this call is to get community and new people to ZetaChain up to speed on the state of things. We're going to talk about two key areas. One is ZetaChain community. Want to give you a sense of all of the incredible stuff happening around the world in different Zeta regions. And then we're going to talk about state of ZetaChain ecosystem. Definitely don't have time to get to everyone building on the network, but we do have a guest speaker from one really innovative project in the launch partner group from ZetaMe. So we'll talk about that use case, and then do read the blog posts, the content, all of the announcements in your local channels for more details on sort of day-to-day stuff. So without further ado, let us start with community. I'll share some big picture stats here with everyone, and then we'll start to loop in some guest speakers. So from a user standpoint, we're seeing close to 500,000 monthly active users on Zeta Labs. And for new folks to the community, Zeta Labs is the testnet environment on ZetaChain where you earn Zeta points for testing our cross-chain swap app once a week and then inviting friends to the platform. So those are the two key behaviors we're trying to incentivize, and we've built a whole leaderboard system with rankings around that, and you can get started doing that right now. And the whole initiative has been really helpful for us from a protocol standpoint, battle testing the network and scaling for launch. We've had something like 12 million cross-chain transactions on the network. And just to put this in perspective, that's about 4% of all transaction activity on Binance testnet. So pretty big accomplishment. And then I'll just say from a people side of things, our community has grown to a whopping 1.5 million people. So we're one of the biggest Web3 communities right now. And what's cool is that we're representative of basically every major crypto market around the globe. So really good level of global awareness, and again, really good foundation for mainnet. And we've had to invest a lot of time just changing how we support a community this large. Like, just to give you a sense, again, 40,000 people online in Discord right now. So we got all sorts of teams moderating those channels. We have local Twitter accounts that people are running. We're translating content in over 16 languages now. And all the products that we have built and will continue to build will be localized. So we're very international in our approach. Speaking of which, I want to bring on one of our ambassadors on the stage to give you a sense of what's happening in different regions around the world. Romina, out of Argentina, do we have you on the panel?
Hello, everyone. How are you doing, Jonathan?
Hey, good to hear your voice. So, yeah, I think folks in Latin America definitely recognize your name, but maybe for the broader community, give us a quick intro. Tell us what the Latin American region is like and what it's been like leading ZetaChain community down there.
Sure. So I'm Mina or Romilda from Argentina. I'm leading the Latin America community of ZetaChain. For those who don't know what is LATAM or Latin America, are all the countries from Mexico to Argentina. We all speak Spanish. And Brazil, it's the only country that speaks Portuguese. So yeah, that's why I lead the whole region Spanish speaking. And it's such an honor promoting this awesome project in Latin America, especially here in Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires, it's on the top 20 countries with highest massive adoption. That's amazing. And leading this community has been a really incredible journey of growth and exciting things. It's challenging sometimes, but looking back just a year ago, almost nobody had heard about Zeta, about this protocol here, and now we have got like a lot of people testing the protocol, asking questions, active on the Discord channel, in the Spanish channel, and yeah, that brings me joy and enthusiasm.
Love it. Thank you. Yeah, we've come quite a long way just compared to a year ago. So I think you've been running lots of events down in Latin America. I think there was one on Monday this week. You got together a big group for a talk on all things Omnichain. How was the meetup? What's sort of the reaction you're getting from users and devs out there?
Exactly, yes. The event was past Monday, and was just great. The place is called Black House Club. It's a very trendy and well-known crypto hub here in Buenos Aires. And we talk about the future of DeFi. Despite the bear market here, we are very active with meetups, workshops, etc. And taking the stage to speak about ZetaChain was very positive, especially highlighting the social part, our community and the relationships we built along the way. And that night we had an audience, mostly newbies, and I saw new faces, which was exciting and isn't really common compared to other events we went and sponsored before. And I think that speaking to newcomers, it's really important. A main goal of Zeta is making crypto easy, simple, safe, and user-friendly. So they are an important part of our audience speaking about newbies. So yeah, that was more or less the event.
Awesome. Yeah, excited for more events. We'll be down in Argentina later this year for a hackathon, so we'll see you again. Maybe you can share one thing you're looking forward to with ZetaChain mainnet, a long time coming now.
Yeah, sure. Okay. If I have to choose one thing, I would say that Omnichain soulbound tokens and Omnichain DAO tooling are a game changer. Well, those are actually two things. And of course, one thing I'm really excited about is how Zeta is gonna make and show crypto. How Zeta is gonna make and show how crypto can be easy and safe for everyone. And I can't wait to see the huge wave of new users coming in once we go live, because right now we already have over 1 million active users on the testnet, and a big part of our actual and future audience doesn't know how to interact with the testnet. I didn't know how to use the testnet until I came to work here. So what I'm trying to say is that I think that when we go mainnet, ton of people are gonna jump on board and start doing real life transactions. So yeah, I think it's gonna be epic.
Indeed. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, a lot of people trying to make Web3 onboarding easier, obviously ZetaChain included with respect to cross-chain interoperability and just abstracting away the underlying network of things and making all things cross-chain super easy. So thank you so much. That's Romina out of ZetaChain Latin America. One more ambassador I want everyone to hear from. Do we have Vedant out of ZetaChain India on the panel?
Hello everyone. Thanks for having me here, Jonathan.
Hello, sir. Yeah, so you're pretty connected in the crypto scene in India. Give us a quick intro on yourself. Tell us what it's been like growing community in Zeta India.
Hi everyone. Vedant here, and I've been working with ZetaChain for over a year now. I've been handling the Indian side of the ZetaChain, like community, etc. And yeah, I also handle the game zone in the ZetaChain as well, like in the Discord server. And
Indeed.
apart from that, yeah, I'm pretty much connected with the DeFi and DGen communities here in India. So yeah, a bit like they do love the concept of ZetaChain, like how there's no need for having fight between the chain, like our chain is better and other chain is better. Like with ZetaChain, everything becomes connected. Like that's the best part that everyone loves over here.
Love it. Yeah, and if you didn't catch that, Vedant is running game contests in the game zone in Discord every week with prizes, so check that out. Vedant, you also ran a meetup a couple weekends ago, and there were some devs building on ZetaChain that attended and presented. Tell us how that went.
Yeah, so like it was a casual meetup of sort, but yeah, the team from Zeta visited us for the event. Like they presented their idea about how domains like Omnichain domains are going to be the next big thing. Like you can use their domains on every connected chains, and people really love that idea. Like they connecting with ZetaChain and like using the interoperability to use the domains everywhere. Like that's the next big thing coming right now. And the meetup was pretty nice. There were lots of new people coming from, like I hosted in Delhi. So it was not my state. I went all the way from Mumbai to Delhi to host it. So there were 30 people coming there, and like every one of them loved the whole concept of omnichain swaps. Like I showed them how the testnet works, like how you can get free Gorli ETH since it's paid right now, and there are other ways like through ZetaChain you can get it. The whole concept, and they're eagerly waiting for the mainnet.
Awesome. Yes. Yes, for everyone listening, especially the builders, you can get free GETH and other test assets on our testnet, so it actually has real utility for development. And yeah, the Omnichain domains is going to be a pretty cool use case. Think ENS, but you can take your domain to any other chain, and that unlocks all sorts of new use cases and so much development happening around that. I think I see Zeta Connect on the call. They're building stuff. Zeta, of course, was at your event. So really exciting. Tell us one thing you're looking forward to with ZetaChain mainnet, Vedant.
So I really love the concept of DeFi and NFT in the Web3 space. So what I'm looking forward is for like next level strategies in DeFi with omnichain interoperability. Like omnichain interoperability opens up doors for so many strategies like they haven't been seen before in market. Like getting liquidity from everywhere is gonna be a game changer for sure in the DeFi space. Apart from that, I'm a big time NFT fan. So use case for NFTs are pretty low right now, but with like being omni-chain NFTs, I think there can be many use cases that can be coming forward with that. That's what
Awesome.
I'm looking forward for.
Thank you. So yeah, that's Vedant, ambassador out of ZetaChain India. You can catch him and Romina in Discord. And there's so much activity happening around the world. There's just a huge event in Philippines, actually. So this really just scratches the surface. For the sake of time, I want to transition over to ecosystem. I'll share just a brief overview of what's happening. The past few months, we've focused on scaling Omnichain dApps in the launch partner ecosystem. This is really the other side of the equation from community. And so just a few stats. We launched a $5 million grant program 60 or 90 days ago. That has 150 legit applications, and we're starting to disperse the first few grants, and you'll hear more about that as these companies start releasing product. We have Dennis on the line. He's been running a ton of technical workshops for the Omnichain hackathon on Dora hacks. There's about a week left in that contest, about 50 approved project submissions so far. And we plan on doing all sorts of hackathons, ETH Paris in person in July. Paul out of ZetaChain France is going to be there. Argentina, I mentioned. And then we're going to Asia for Korea Blockchain Week. Singapore Token 2049 is the week after that. So really have invested in supporting the Omnichain builders on Zeta, and we're seeing results from that. So close to 10,000 dApp contracts deployed on ZetaScan Explorer. You've seen us announce a bunch of integrations. There are close to 50 companies with live product integrations on testnet across all sorts of use cases. And we're working on making a public version of that Zeta app ecosystem on the marketing site. So you'll be able to clearly see the full ecosystem of companies that are aligning with our launch. More on that to come. But I want to share one recent example from our Omnichain ecosystem newsletter last week, just to give you a sense of what developers are actually building on ZetaChain. And it's funny, Romina mentioned Omnichain soulbound tokens. We actually have the founder of ZetaMe on the panel. Alex, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, JC.
Awesome. Good to hear from you. You're tuning in from Hong Kong this evening?
I am, yes.
Cool. So yeah, let's jump in. Digital identity, user verification, really hot area in crypto right now. Yeah. And I think every company is having to deal with the rise of AI bots. And there are a few different approaches out there, like the Twitter Blue paid subscription model, just charge people and they'll verify as a human perhaps. And then all sorts of like bot detection tools and more progressive solutions using biometrics, which touches a bit on what your team is up to. Would love to hear your thoughts on the space of user verification and what your team is building at ZetaMe.
Thanks, JC. I mean, first of all, thank you for having us today. Really love the format, love the energy, and really looking forward to see you in Paris and then later this year in Seoul. I mean, ZetaMe was born out of the the observed lack of a really truly decentralized and private identity solution within Web3. If you really look into other DID solutions, they do one of two things. So they either just take data that is like super free, available, completely on chain, and then just aggregate it or make some kind of transformation to then display that on chain, or like maybe some more some bigger examples like Polygon ID. They have a centralization requirement that always requires this one trust assumption into an issuer, someone that owns who you are and will speak in on your demand when someone wants to verify who you are. So last year when we founded the company, we really wanted to build something that allows the user to stay anonymous and still interact with a protocol that provides a service that is somehow cut to your requirements. So we believe in this idea of having services that are relevant to you, while at the same time leaving you completely anonymized. So what we do is we actually take an Oracle approach to identity. So we bring data that exists off-chain, mostly person-bound data, things like biometric data, demographic data, financial and educational data, anonymize them completely on client side. So the user themselves generate proofs, zero-knowledge proofs, about their own credentials, and then only disclose these anonymized information on chain. So that allows you to do a whole lot of different use cases. And from a protocol perspective, it allows to offer services that are much more customized, and also can reduce things like counterparty risk, increase capital efficiency, and a whole lot of things that currently in Web3 are completely unheard of. We've been building for the last 6 months, been on testnet, like several different testnets for the last couple of weeks, and really proud to announce that within the next couple of weeks, we'll launch with our first 2 use cases, a biometric anti-Sybil protection and a fully FATF compliant ZK zero knowledge KYC solution that prove that you are unique, prove that you fulfill certain eligibility criteria without disclosing any private information on the user. So if there is any DeFi protocol listening in that wants to start their journey towards compliance, or any launchpad that wants to drop tokens to unique users, feel free to reach out.
Thanks, Alex, and congrats on the progress to date. So a few weeks ago, we announced ZetaMe as an ecosystem launch partner. Why partner with ZetaChain? How does Omnichain, Multichain play into this mission at ZetaMe?
You mean there are other arguments than the best community AMAs? I mean, jokes aside, like EVM compatibility plus Omnichain interoperability are super important for identity. Like if we want to have an ecosystem that crosses different chains, unified control of identity is going to be super, super important. And as long as you don't have that one trusted entity, whenever you bridge identity information from one chain to another, there is always a trust assumption. And you can build the best bridges in the world. There's always a potential for an attack vector, for some malicious actor to change something in that bridging process. So we've been looking for a solution, and are really happy to have found the perfect self-sovereign identity partner with ZetaChain. So once ZetaChain is live, users of ZKMe will have the ability to manage their Omnichain identity from one single ZetaChain wallet. So no matter if you're, I don't know, gaming on on Clayton, if you are buying NFTs on Solana, doing some DeFi on Arbitrum, you will be able to manage who has access to your anonymized data from that one single place.
Yes. Yeah, so for everyone listening, this is really big because basically with ZetaChain, ZKMe is extending their innovation of the ZK soulbound token such that users can prove eligibility for dApps on any blockchain from one place.
Yes.
So yeah, this is an example of the sort of universal interoperability that ZetaChain enables. In this case, it's for NFT proof of personhood type use case and all the stuff that ZKMe is innovating around. So yeah, we think this is pretty game changing for the Zeta ecosystem, and really no one is doing this. So Alex, your team is running some testnet campaigns. Just yesterday, another 10,000 beta tester slots opened up where you can mint your Omni SBT on testnet on the app. Tell us more about the campaign.
Yeah, good point. So in order to celebrate our announcement, the partnership announcement with ZetaChain, we've been running a Galaxy event in 3 stages. So the first stage is already concluded. That was a stage in which we wanted to highlight the importance for Omnichain, soulbound token, and just ZetaChain in general. The second phase is a phase in which we will allow users to start using anonymous verifications on our self-sovereign identity wallet and mint the Omnichain soulbound token. So that will allow us to fix the last little bit of bugs that we might have. And then it's going to conclude in a third stage. And the third stage is going to use the full spectrum of functionality. So verification for all countries around the world, unique DID creation, plus also Omnichain control. So you will be able to have the full functional scope, and that should come very soon.
Great. And I think I heard you say support for more countries. I know the CIS community noticed some countries are not yet supported on testnet, but you can assure them that that's coming, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to give you a little bit of a background, so like we are building all of the verification services completely in-house out of 3 different reasons. So first of all, we don't believe in sharing data with any third party. That's why we decided there is not going to be any data sharing. Second, we believe in open source. So all of our verification algorithms will be gradually open sourced, also as a trust building mechanism, since they will result in the creation of the zero knowledge proofs. And I mean, as stupid as it sounds, there are just some certain nationalities that are more difficult to prove because they have special identity card formats and so on. And that's why there's currently 10 countries that are not yet supported. And among them is, I think, Croatia, Ukraine, and Russia. But they are all in development, all 10. And will be provided hopefully within this week.
Amazing. Well, thank you, everyone listening. That's Alex, the founder of ZKMe, the first Omnichain soulbound token solution. For the tech nerds, you can dive into their 80-page white paper if you want to take that on and get more into the weeds. But yeah, do follow ZKMe as they develop with ZetaChain for the mainnet launch. Alex, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. So also on the line, we have our lead contributor for developer experience at ZetaChain, Dennis, you want to give a quick mic check?
Hey everyone, how are you doing?
Hello. So yeah, you've been on a lot of public calls lately doing technical workshops for the hackers and builder ecosystem in general. How are things going? Any noteworthy updates to share on Zeta documentation and developer experience in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been busy working on improving tutorials and documentation, primarily tutorials. The first goal was to ensure that the majority of tutorials we have are very easy to go through. So we created a new repo called example contract. So if you go to github.com/ZetaChain/example contract, you will see two directories for cross-chain messaging and for Omnichain contracts. And in these directories, you have example contracts. So for example, for cross-chain messaging, we have counter, which is a simple counter that you can increment between chains, message sending, a value transfer, and NFT example as well. So all of them have been updated, and you can start building on top of them very easily, or understand better how they work. So you have the deploy task, you have a hard hat task to deploy and to interact. So it should be very, very straightforward. So that's what we've been doing for the past month or so. But right now, our focus is primarily on updating the same examples to Athens 3, which is the next iteration of the testnet. And to do this even better, we decided to kind of deconstruct the repo that we have right now, where everything lives, right? So the ZetaChain repo, instead of putting everything into one repo, we decided to split things up, and we have protocol contracts separately, already open source, so you can look there for details on how ZetaChain works under the hood. And of course, this is very useful when you actually build on top of ZetaChain, so check out protocol repos, protocol contracts. Just today, we actually open sourced the documentation for ZetaChain. It has been, of course, public, but we want to make sure that everyone who wants to contribute can do so very easily. So go to github.com/ZetaChain/docs, and if you see something that can be improved, please make a PR. That would be awesome. So yeah, right now we're essentially making it easier to build with ZetaChain by kind of streamlining the dependency of a project if you start building and updating everything. So yeah, that's the updates on DevX.
Excellent. So you mentioned two ways you can build on ZetaChain. Cross-chain messaging, which is one of the more progressive ways of bringing interoperability to existing applications, especially if you're trying to drive interoperability among just a few chains. And then you mentioned Omnichain smart contracts. What's the difference between the two? And maybe talk about how Omnichain smart contract is different from the classic Ethereum application that everyone is familiar with.
Absolutely. So with cross-chain messaging, the way I like to think about it is with cross-chain messaging, you have a contract that uses ZetaChain API, and you use this, you deploy this contract on to two or more connected chains. And what you get out of this is you can trigger a cross-chain message send from one chain to another, and that allows you to transfer any kind of arbitrary data. You can also transfer value, NFTs, what have you. So it's a very general but incredibly useful tool to connect already existing applications, already existing dApps. So you can augment your single chain dApp to become multi-chain. So of course ZetaChain supports that, and it it's not limited to just tokens, right? You can send absolutely anything you want. The second approach is Omnichain smart contract, which is something. It's a contract that you deploy onto ZetaChain. So instead of deploying it to different chains, you deploy it once, and it essentially has these superpowers to manage assets on different chains. And the way it happens, I don't want to go deep into details on this, but when a user sends tokens on Ethereum to a specific address, they also provide some data about which contract to call on ZetaChain, and these tokens get essentially transferred to this contract, and contract can process these tokens. So the tokens are transferred on Ethereum, but the ZRC20 representations of these tokens are passed on to the contract on ZetaChain. And this ZRC20 standard is an extension of ERC20, which extends it in a way that allows contracts to withdraw tokens. So when you're sending ETH on Ethereum to this address, a contract can swap these tokens on ZetaChain to Matic, and these Matic tokens can be withdrawn on Polygon to any address. So the capability of withdrawing is crucial to ZRC20, and from developers' point of view, it's very straightforward. Users just send tokens with some data to a specific address. By the way, that is controlled by the validators of ZetaChain, so it's all decentralized. And a contract gets called, and you can process these ZRC20 tokens and do whatever your contract is built to do. So these are two different approaches, and you can't say which one is better just because there are many different use cases. Omnichain contract support is growing, right? So it started with native gas tokens, but it will eventually extend to all sorts of assets and data. So right now, I would definitely, like, if you have a project already, I would definitely look into cross-chain messaging first. It's a bit harder to architect a complex application because you need to synchronize take care of state on different chains, but it's easier to understand. But if you're building a new application, a new dApp, I would also look into Omnichain smart contracts as well, because this is kind of like a new paradigm of how to build cross-chain dApps.
Nice. Yeah, and we're seeing lots of companies do both. They're incorporating cross-chain messaging. In some cases, they use other solutions, but it's a way to create fault tolerance and perhaps provide their users more gas efficiency or potentially cheaper. And then they're also deploying their apps on ZEVM, which is the Omnichain smart contract module, which is, as Dennis described, a new architecture where all of your logic lives in one place on ZetaChain, and it's more future-proof and easier to manage over time. So, yeah, lots of different options. Dennis, you mentioned Athens 3, and as we wrap up the spaces here, maybe you could shed a little bit of light on what that means and what developers can expect in the very near future.
Sure. So Athens 3 is the upcoming testnet, and it includes a bunch of new features and stability improvements. So among the main features of Athens 3 is the ability to send Zeta tokens from ZetaChain to any other connected chain, which opens up huge possibilities in how chains can interact. So that's connector on ZetaChain. Connectors are already deployed, of course, on connected chains, but this change also makes it possible for Zeta tokens to be transferred from ZetaChain, which is pretty cool. I talked briefly about ZRC20, and on the current testnet, the support is limited to just gas tokens, which is great if you want to see how it works, but you probably want to go beyond gas tokens and transfer arbitrary ERC20. Well, that's exactly what will be shipped in Athens 3. So ERC20 support for ZRC20, which means Omnichain contracts will support arbitrary ERC20. They will have to be whitelisted by the network in a decentralized way, right? So the network first have to approve them, but after that's done, you should be able to use them in your contracts and transfer. So we've also made it possible for Cosmos transactions to be exposed through EVM RPC, and just making the API of the chain more robust and functional. So as you probably know, ZetaChain is built on top of Cosmos SDK with EVM. So it's kind of a hybrid of two worlds, right? And that's one of the reasons why we have so many APIs, right? Because you're exposing the consensus engine RPC, EVM RPC, WebSockets, and so on. And we want to make sure that no matter which one you're using, you can get access to the data you need. So in this change, you after this feature is released, you should be able to see Cosmos transactions accessible through EVM RPC. And of course, ZetaChain has been undergoing audits and improvements and bug fixes are being implemented to address all the concerns to ensure that when it's time for mainnet, ZetaChain is ready on all fronts. And yeah, we're looking into open sourcing the ZetaChain node repository so that developers can take a look under the hood and understand better how it works. And of course, documentation is being written on that as well, on all the modules that ZetaChain is using under the hood.
Nice. Yeah, so that's Athens 3, which has sort of been in stealth mode for a bit, but you're going to see all the details come out in the next week or two. That is the feature complete testnet that will live a long time. All of the existing devs and integrations will migrate over. We have an incentivized validator program being stood up. And so this is just part of the ongoing effort to continue to battle test and audit things and get ready for mainnet. In that announcement, you'll have better clarity about the big launch as well. So Dennis, you just heard from Dennis, the core contributor for all of developer experience at ZetaChain. Dennis, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, that is pretty much it. We're probably going to do this more frequently as we approach launch. This is part of open sourcing things and becoming more transparent and decentralized, but super glad to put this quick call together and just get you up to speed on everything that we've been working on. And again, check the Twitter feed and Discord announcements for the nitty-gritty details and read all of our content, again, localized in over 16 languages. So with that, I'm going to close the spaces, and I thank all of the speakers for joining, and we're going to get back to work. So I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.